Today is going to be a very hot day, so I want to get this done as soon as I possibly can. What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Anya and you're watching Gaming in the Dark, and this is 400 days in Sky Factory 4. I've done 100, I've done 200, I survived 300, and I'm giving you another 100 days. I think 500 is probably where we can close this off. It's very repetitive at this point, but 400 days has now arrived. I'm also working on another 100 day in MCE, so hopefully I can get that out as quick as possible. But today it is 400 days in Sky Factory 4. As usual, thank you for all the support. We are almost at 400 subscribers, which is awesome for the 400 day video. Keep doing what you're doing, liking, subscribing, commenting. It means the world to me. Much like the others, I hope you enjoy this one. 400 days surviving in Sky Factory 4 Minecraft. So we jump right in to day 300 to 310, and I'm gonna be perfectly honest, I spent most of the day 300 repairing the fusion reactor, and I have no footage because I was on do or die crunch time. The shit was blowing up, I had to think of something as quick as I possibly can, and recording was just not on my mind for it. But luckily I saved it, rebuilt it, and started to work at fueling it. I also noticed when I spawn in the world after taking much needed breaks, the welding tool, the chunk loader thing, and the plugs in the Lost City despawn, so there's no power going to our power reactor, which is one of the reasons why it keeps blowing up. I don't think there's a fix to this. It literally happens every single time, and I don't think there's anything I could probably do about it. I haven't checked, to be honest, but I'm gonna tap out on that one. I'll just live with this problem, it's fine. Once everything was fixed, I spent a couple of days confused as hell attempting to run the fusion core due to the fusion. Either way, I was confused. I figured out along the way and started to make the correct liquid, the deuteronium. I probably should have found a way to pronounce it before I started this video, but I haven't. Either way, after not having enough, I moved back to hydrogen just so I can build it up. I had big dreams to make a smaller fusion reactor to make the deuterium, and quickly gave that up until I get to 1,000 subs. Dreams aren't real and you should probably abandon them. I somehow managed to get the fusion thing working, the liquid was fueling it, and since it wasn't broken, I decided to leave it be and move on to pure nether quartz crystal, which was not growing at all. So I decided to make an accelerator, not the grow your plants kind, the other one no one uses, and I now know why, but we haven't got there just yet. I made the accelerator, set up its fuel system, and then went on my way to make singularities, as I had enough singularities to make diamonds, or enough diamonds to make a diamond singularity. I then set up I then set up an auto craft system for compressed sugar, something that might just take me 100 days to complete in and of itself, and after that I moved on to completing the gold singularity, which I couldn't find the footage of, so it won't be shown on camera. But it looks like this. Wow. Anyway, after that, I spent some time in the bonsai room adding diamonds and emeralds, or diamonds or emeralds, one of the two, and something important, and moved on to our failed experiment, the crystals. It still hadn't grown, so I said fuck it, and I put it in the enrichment chamber anyway, and lo and behold, that's how it works the whole time. I think I've already done this, but because I forgot how I did it, I just assumed that I grew it, and I don't know. I was out here trying to get this thing to grow, and I didn't have to do any of it. But I'm not mad. I'm just mad as hell. I decided to channel that anger into making another energy cow I could eventually break, aka another matter overdrive thing. So I took a little break between filming. You should probably go watch my Enigmatica 6 series. And I came back confused as hell as what I was doing. So between day 311 to 321, once I realized what I was doing, I started building the matter overdrive reactor, I guess. I got to work. I made all the components needed and got to building, but lag did shut me down and I lost 2 stabilities. It was fine. I logged back in, went back to work, and once it was built, I started on growing it. After all that was done, because you can't grow it too big, it takes so much materials. So after I had grown it as much as I could, I went back to work on making some cookie stuff faster, which basically meant making another tier of cookies in the compact world. I then realized the reactor was a mess and started to work on building it back up again. This would take days, and once it was done, I powered it and moved on to some other little stuff. When we moved on, the first couple days was basically sugar shit, which, if you say that 10 times fast, it just sounds gross. I wanted a little break, and sugar took my brain away from the sweaty challenges I needed to complete. After I had my much needed therapy, I then had to troubleshoot the reactor. Again. I hate this thing, by the way, and will continue to hate this thing until the very end of time. Real life time. Arguably, it may have been my fault this time. There is such a thing as overcooling, and I had this thing at 1,000%. Yeah, no, we want 100%, so that was definitely my bad. After a ton of back and forth, a couple days AFKing, I realized what was wrong with this stupid thing, and it includes the overcooling. But let me just do a list. 1, it explodes because it stops getting energy because of the whole weirding tool and plug despawning in the Lost City. Continuous power is important, so if you are where I am and you are using Matter Overdrive, make sure when you first log into to the world, add another weirding tool and plug. 2, we had it cooling too efficient. Too much cooling at 1,000% is a thing, so we wanted to cool it at 100%. And once I got the cooling down, as you can see, efficiency started to skyrocket. The RF we need is basically 3,333 KRF. We were on 2,453, which arguably isn't that bad. But that brings us to the third thing. 2,453 or 2,500 is the highest we're gonna get out of these liquids. The best liquid match is deuterium and tritium. Liquid hydrogen and deuterium maxed out at 254, and then it just started slowing down. So you're never gonna get to 3 million with this pairing. Tritium you get tritium from deuterium. So anyway, there was a lot to do in the future. And the last thing I learned, and this is again something I learned in the future, is that temperature is everything. Just cooler stops things from exploding, but the temperature will still rise and slow down the efficiency. Don't worry, you get to watch me fail at understanding this a little later on, but those are the 4 things I have learned about the stupid fusion reactors. After I felt like I was confident leaving the fusion reactor by itself, I did a checkup on the cookies. I had 3 stacks left to go, which was awesome, and I ended off the week. 10 days is a week now, don't question it. Succumbing to my nuclear rage and killing witches. I mean, I did need pristine for status quo stuff, but also I was angry and I had to take it out on the witches. Between days 331 and 340, I started to come up on some mundane tasks that needed to be complete across these sets of days. I did my last day of reactor AFKing, cleared out the truffle chest with so much to do it actually took a couple days. I did some more checkups on various things and then made the decision to change the reactor to full hydrogen so that I could build up deuterium, so eventually I'd have a decent amount of tritium. I then expanded the essence farm for maximum reach, and then fertilized all of the seeds so that they can fit the new area, and finished off this week making some status quos for the Hall of Fame statues. Between day 341 and 350, I spent a lot of it running around thinking about what to do next. 2 advancements are working in background, so I don't have to worry about them. The cookies and the black tank. The rest of the advancements I was worried about, but I had no time to ponder for too long and decided to go for Hall of Fame, as I basically already started it and kind of forgot. I currently needed more Never Stars, 21 to be exact, and some more Chorus Fruits, and started knocking them off the list one by one. I had to grow some Evokers to get some totems, and then made the statue. After days of grinding, I was done. Hall of Fame was complete, and another break was needed. After running around and grinding tasks, the next thing on my mind was logic stuff. Eventually I had to complete this, and thought, why not now? But to end off this week, I got close but not close enough and finished off on a 256k chip. There was still a long way to go. I jumped into day 351 making an advanced inscriber, and boy do I feel stupid. I have no idea why I didn't do this earlier. It is super efficient and way faster. I also figured out the maths to make the 16,381k memory chip. I have the table here for you to show, but I'll basically read it out. You need 3 1k chips to make a 4k chip. You need 9 1k chips to make a 16k chip. You need 27 1k chips to make a 64k chip. 81 1k chips to make a 256k chip. You need 243 1k chips to make a 1024k chip. You need 729 1k chips to make a 4096k chip. And finally, you need 2187 1k chips to make a 16,381k chip. We have managed to achieve the 1024 k chip, so I was on the right path, and as long as these numbers were correct, of course, I could continue to get to work. And that's what I did. I spent the rest of the week working on logic press stuff, getting eventually to the big boss chip. I spent the morning of day 361 doing random uninteresting stuff and ended up checking on the cookie singularity progress. And lo and behold, it was actually complete. Cookie clicker was done and dusted. Now I just had a bunch of cookie singularities and nothing to do with them. Anyway, I changed all the saplings to redstone now that I was done with the cookie saplings, and I was running low on redstone because you need quite a bit of it for the logic press stuff. For some reason I expanded my smeltery and then went back to just making memory chips, so I have no idea what the motivation for that was. I then took a little break from the logic press stuff and made one of the bonsai room sets into diamond. I thought I had already did this, but maybe I changed again. I don't know. I went back to grinding the memory chips, and eventually zip disk was done. 16,381k chip was complete. The next step was the fluid disk, and the table is still actually quite relevant for this. It's the same amount of numbers. 729 makes 729 1k chips makes one 4096k chip. So I got to work. Not many days later, Ocean Man was complete, and what that left was the gas discs. And just like the fluid discs, it didn't take long, and a couple days later, Hit the Gas was ready and complete. So that was 3 achievements down in, I want to say, a pretty decent time. With 30 days left and 6 advancements left to go, I wanted to be as efficient as possible. I visited the fusion reactor again and decided I was going to let deuterium collect till 200 mil and then use half of that to get a good amount of tritium. I then made an auto-crafting machine to auto-craft diamonds, as I was getting very tired of making them. I would use these diamonds to eventually start feeding the overdrive machine, or maybe I already did it. I don't know. There was a lot of back and forth. I decided to make another smeltery because I had a ton of stuff to smelt, which is why in the last week I had expanded the smeltery, but still it wasn't big enough. I had so much embers to smelt at this point, I needed another one to control for some reason, I gave one of the bonsai rooms gold. I think maybe in my head I had a little less gold than I should. So I started implementing the bonsais, the saplings and stuff. And then once my new smeltery was complete, I started to, smelt stuff in it. And over time, I'll continue to grow it and maybe break down the second one. But there was so much stuff to smelt that just never ended up happening. Anyway, at the end of the day, the nickel singularity was complete and we were moving closer and closer to to getting as much singularities as we can by the end of these 400 days. I had taken a break from my last video in quite a short period of time and loaded back into the world, realizing that the nuclear reactor was broken. I'm going to assume it's because of our chunk loader issue. Luckily, I was actually able to fix this one with no problem. There were no explosions, I could just seamlessly put it back, and that was fine. I then loaded the deuterium to build up some more tritium, and after some research, it would definitely seem like the deuterium-tritium combo would get me to that 3,333,333 RF that I needed, or more easily written 3,333 KRF. I moved on to smelting some cobalt and iodide because I would need those singularities, and then when you combine those to get menulin, I would need that singularity as well. I checked up on the fusion reactor and realized the efficiency was decreasing, and I couldn't understand why. This thing brings me back to the 4 things I learned. This is the temperature thing, but at this point in time, I had no idea why, so I had to start investigating and AFKing in hopes that I could figure it out. And this continued. The fusion reactor was just not messing with me. Again, things I learned, it was number 4, but I continued AFKing in order to monitor the machine. I wasn't that mad because it was still producing tritium, but it was not rising in RF and I couldn't understand why. After that, I then decided to do some cobalt and iodide singularity stuff and reset the fusion reactor. Once it was cooled down, I would add the deuterium and the tritium combo, and the rest of the day was basically just spent getting ingots for singularities, the Invar, nickel and iron, amongst others. It was a day of smelting and AFKing, but to round it off, the main issue was the temperature had just gotten too high. Luckily, our stuff wasn't exploding because we had an efficient cooler, but once the temperature reaches over another level, it doesn't produce any RF, it just continues to produce liquid. And I'm assuming the temperature will eventually rise so high that even though the cooler is efficient, it's just gonna blow up. But I didn't let it get to that, as you know. At this point, I had no idea what to do next. There was a lot of AFKing that needed to be done, but I wanted to utilize all the time I had as to not be wasteful. First, I made diamond blocks as I could throw them into the matter overdrive reactor, and at the end, I was very close. 14,035. I needed 15,000, so I wasn't close enough. I decided to look at some of the singularities and see what I can complete. I started calculating how much uranium essence I needed and realized I would need 40,000, so I got to work. After getting 1,000, I gave up. It was too much, so I decided to make some more diamonds and emeralds and throw them into the matter overdrive thing, and it was at 14,452, which again is close, but not close enough, so we would have to make a couple more, quite a few more trips. Since there was only 5 days left, I decided to try load the reactor with deuterium and tritium, but first I needed to cool it down again. Whilst that was happening, to be honest, there wasn't much to do but AFK. I figured instead of waiting for things to smelt, I would waste some silver and cook 1,000 silver embers to get the silver singularity. So when you put embers into let's say you put 1 ember into a smeltery, it's going to give you 2 ingots. The reason why this is wasteful is because when you smelt an ember, it only gives you 1 ingot. But I had so many embers to wait for that it was just going to take a very long time, so I figured I'd be wasteful. Whilst the silver one was starting to complete in the singularity chamber, in the whatever you call it, the black thing that makes the singularities. I started working on tin amber and did the exact same thing, just let them smelt. Alongside that, I started changing the look of my house, as I felt like it was about time to spruce up the place a little bit. I had a lot more blocks, I can get a little fancy, let everyone know that I had money now. And just like that, the silver singularity was complete, and the tin singularity was ready to load up. Whilst that was happening, I went back to the reactor and felt that it had cooled down enough to load up the deuterium, did I say it right? And tritium, in hopes it would get to the 3 million we needed. Once that was working in the background, I collected the tin singularity, put it away, and ran around doing some smelting stuff. When I went back to the reactor to check on it, I realized it was getting up there at 2000 KRF. A day later, we were done. After 100 days of basically trying to figure this stupid thing out, we had completed the Times of Charm, and boy was I happy about it. With that advancement left, I had 5 more to go. And hopefully these could be done in 500 days, but we're gonna have to see. With 8 singularities left to do, the black hole left to AFK, I decided to start changing some base things. With some of the expensive leftover blocks I now had, and there was quite a few of them, as I said, I've got money now. And also had the intention to clear out some of the truffles, but I never had the time to do that. So after all was said and done, 400 days is complete, and I'm so happy I don't have to play around with the fusion reactor anymore. The 5 tasks that we have left from the top of my head are the 2 compressing things, which is to compress netherrack and to compress sugar. You have the black tank to fill that up with, that was like 2 trillion or million stuff, I don't know, billion, the number's very high, so we still had that left to do. We had the singularities left to do, and then we have the matter overdrive left to do. I'm confident we can get the matter overdrive done. I'm pretty confident we can get the 8 singularities done. At this point, it's just a waiting game to see if the black tank will finish within 500 days. And then the other 2, not so sure about. But I guess we'll see in the next video. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate the support. This 100-day series, I believe, has gotten me to almost 400 subscribers, if not 400 by the time I release this. And because of that, I am very thankful. Eventually, I'll probably do some type of giveaway, but I don't want to rush into things. And I am too lazy at this point in time, I'm not gonna lie. But it will come about soon. So with that, on day 400, as always, here's some B-roll, terrible B-roll, by the way. I haven't got that down, of my world and its new fanciness, because flexing super hard with these Ardite blocks. Again, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.